Fiddling around.
It's here too. Okay. Ready? Take a sip of water. I forgot to get my water.
You want to share?
Post-COVID, I already was just not doing that.
I already don't like drinking after people, and then people
COVID
put it in my
killed it.
face a lot. Here, try this. But I'm starting to be like, I rejected somebody recently. I was like, no, there's backwashing that. Like, there's not. And they were offended. I was like, don't be offended at me that I don't want to drink, you know.
But here's the secret. There is backwash.
There absolutely is backwash.
If the only way I'll do this, somebody doesn't care. Zach's good at this. Zach will be like, hey, you can have the first thing. If they don't care to drink after me,
yeah. I'll
like,
take the first drink.
It's your funeral. Then I'll drink first. But I will not drink second. Do you drink backwash? That's the question of the week.
Yeah, generally no.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
When did you actually first learn what backwash was? And like, because like it's not something intuitive. I don't think about it when I watch somebody drink something.
I feel like it was in school, and it was like a kid just went, it's just backwash, and it's like, oh yeah, we're all drinking, and then like it comes out of
and
your mouth and it goes back in, and it was like it dawned on you, like it was some kid going like no, and then oh yeah, that's not
somebody was offering me something. I was like, sure, I'll take a drink. There wasn't much left, and then my other friend was like, don't drink that. I was like, why? He's like, it's backwash, and the kid was like, what do you mean? And then my friend holds up it's like a bottle of Coke, and he shakes around. I see in the bottom, I see bits of food.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, so I have a hard nothing under 40% rule.
Yeah.
And post COVID, really don't drink after anyone, but I've got a pretty hard nothing after 40%.
I would,
First sip, okay.
Yeah, pre-COVID, if it's pretty full, it's like I always didn't think about it. But yeah, when it got down as a kid, it was like, like you are getting just yucky bits. Ugh, grossing me out. Post-COVID, hey, here, you want to try this or whatever? It's pretty good. Nah, I'll buy it.
Hard pass.
I'll buy that if I want to try it. But we were just saying, like, hey, just if I'm the first one, if they're nice enough to be like, hey, take the first sip, if we just want you to try it, I'll do that.
Okay.
But post-COVID, a lot of rules changed. A lot of stuff.
But that's the main one.
That was the main. That was the only change that COVID brought. Welcome to the podcast, the DweeBros podcast. We are on a new set. We are in the new gaming basement.
Gaming museum.
Gaming museum. This has been a lifelong adventure to get here to this place. For me, I've always wanted this since I was a little kid, to have like a basement full of video game stuff. So I have achieved one of the dreams.
I would say you succeeded.
I'm very happy with it. I'll have a game room tour thing eventually on the channel or whatever, but and you can check out the other. I have other game room tours. I was laughing thinking the other day, the first one I did, I was back at my parents' house in my small room, and some of it I had to show. I was like, here's my other part of the collection. I'd open my closet and shine a light, and it was up in the closet thing. So
well, I got to gas you up a little bit. A couple things. So I didn't grow up with like lots of figures. I would have like 10 Xbox games, but if I really wanted a new one, I'd sell 2 of them. I just never really collected, and we've always been a little bit opposite ends of the spectrum in that, where you always have. And you've really brought me around on it, because I used to think, man, that's just a lot. It's a lot of space. You know, I've gone digital with some of my consoles and my PCs, but being able to have this space, and like even the boxes I've started to keep as I bought my PS5 and stuff, the boxes, because you've got all your boxes. Not to get too much, definitely watch the video, but like you've got all these figures. There's like shelves that are Metal Gear with the Metal Gear figures with the Metal Gear game. And the way you've got this all, it is like being in a time capsule of all these different consoles and series.
I appreciate that.
It's cool. As your friend, I like that I get to come over and experience it.
I appreciate that. I try to... What I love doing, and this was cool in the last game room tour, was somebody came in there and commented and was like, hey, I watched this whole thing. Because I was kind of apprehensive of doing like it ended up being 3.5 hours of me showing that smaller room I had the last game room tour. But people were like, I watched the whole thing, and it was like, hey, that makes sense, because I'll sit there and have a video playing of a 4-hour somebody's game room too.
Yep.
And I love like seeing what they're doing or what they collect. people are like, I have a complete Wii collection. Cool. Like I'll sit there and like, that's interesting to watch. So how I like to collect, like everything you see is like stuff that I have memories of. Like if it's on a shelf and I'm displaying it, I care about it. Like it stood somewhere in my life. Like this is like you said, like it's a time machine. When I look at this stuff, I'm like going back in time. And I'm like, boom, like I know where I was when I got that, or this is why I have Metal Gear figures. Oh, like I love Metal Gear, and like, they mean a lot to me. So
is that part of why I've heard in the past? It always like jars me when you say it, because it's only happened a few times where you're like, yeah, I bought this game, I've been playing it, I don't like it, I'm selling it. Whenever you've said that to me, like because I know you have everything you played, I'm always like, oh, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was one.
I sold
you
that.
You almost sold Demon Souls when you hated it the first time you played it, and I've always been like, whoa, like you have all the games. Why sell? Is that why you only keep the ones you actually
Physical space is so, even in this bigger space that I have, I think that maybe that mindset stood from when I was at my parents'. It was so valuable to have that space. Even when as a kid, I threw away some of my Game Boy boxes because they took up. That's how
I threw away everything.
That's how restricted it was. So for me, if I don't like something, it's like, why is it taking up physical space in my house? Even though I have bigger, like more room, that'll get filled up so quick. Yeah. And it's like, I don't need, like, why is that there? Why is that taking up space to where something I care about could be there? So yeah, I think it's just like, it's more of a, you don't deserve the space. Or like, if I don't like this thing, why am I displaying it? Or have memories of it. Like it has to pass that check of like, do I care about this? Do I have memories of this? Like, cause there's even some sucky games on here, but it's like, I might have some funny memories. Yeah. Or it's funny how I got the thing or whatever, and I'll have that displayed or whatever. But,
well, the last thing I was going to say on all this note is I've seen you in different places, like when you were still living with your family. Yeah. You had your one little room and then you had an office, but like it's always been parts of your stuff's on display, but parts are in boxes. Or you would open your closet and I would see like things and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've never seen that. Yeah. This is like the Avengers Infinity War Endgame of your collecting. Because I mean, there's stuff off camera. Like there's a whole
there's a whole other wall and other stuff here.
Yeah. So watch that video when you post
when I finally post it. There's some stuff I'm waiting on to get. Whatever, maybe I'll wait till to make the video. But very excited to show you guys. And yeah, it feels good to have everything just as out of storage or closets. Like boxes are out here. Yeah. And it has been really cool because my wife's like, you kept the boxes. We always make fun of it because I had boxes full of boxes. Yeah. And that was a joke with my parents is like, I had to use their garage to store some of the stuff that you're going to see in the video. And it became like, it is funny. I have boxes full of boxes, other empty boxes. But I've had people that are not gamers down here. I had somebody like stuff for the house or whatever. And like she looked over here, definitely not into video games at all, and was like, "Oh, you have the boxes? That's really cool." And it's like, I'm so glad I kept this stuff. Like, it is funny. You can make fun of it, but it is like people I think are even my wife came around and was like, "Yeah, those are cool. Like the boxes are cool." So keep your boxes or find them. I don't know. I've always been, and that's the thing too. When I watch how people collect, like. I like to collect complete in boxes, this stuff. But some people are like, I'll just collect loose. Like, I'll just collect the Game Boy cartridges. I just want those. So everybody has a different, thing they like. But this is the new space. Hope you enjoy it. It'll be a lot easier for us setting stuff up and all that. But thank you for joining us. This is DweeBros Podcast. And I am Zach, a.k.a. DweeBro, a.k.a. The Collector with a K. And I'm joined by Travis.
Hey.
And we are going to be talking video games, movies, TV shows, and illegal things.
What are we going to talk about that's illegal? I didn't see that.
Hacking into a company's server and leaking 91 videos of a video game that they are so tight-lipped that they shoot anybody that even mentions the name outside of the company.
It's not a great career move.
Grand Theft Auto 6, let's get it right out the gate. We got to talk about the biggest news of the month. Grand Theft Auto 6 got leaked, which we do at the end of the year, like what was our favorite story or biggest story of the year, whatever. Spoiler alert, this might be it because this is ungodly and unprecedented of a leak from a video game company, part one. But part two, Rockstar is so tight-lipped, and that is a tight ship they run over there.
Yeah.
So when I saw this leaked, it was like my jaw hit the floor. Yeah. Like, and I watched we're definitely not going to pop up anything because Rockstar will take us out. Grand Theft Auto.
Take us
we
out.
will become arrested. It'll pop up on the screen for us.
Did you watch any of it?
Oh yeah, I watched it all.
All of it?
Yeah,
there were
I
like
scrubbed,
90 some videos.
I scrubbed.
I watched,
somebody collected
watched 3 or 4.
Somebody collected like an hour.
So you saw more than I did.
Yeah, I scrubbed through. I didn't like sit down and like watch it, but I scrubbed through the interesting parts because there's like parts of just him in like blocks and stuff. You know what I mean? But somebody leaked. It was 91 or whatever files,
video clips
of the beta version in progress.
This is alpha. This is alpha.
In progress.
Early.
And I guess this was a 2019 build. This was not more a recent build, but 2019 build of Grand Theft Auto 6. So what had happened, it wasn't, I don't even think they had hacked. A lot of hacking nowadays is you social engineering.
Yeah.
Hey, can I get the password of this? Can I get into here? Yeah. Hey, I forgot this.
Whatever. Hey, it's Louie from HR. Louie from the dev team. Need to get in here.
And what had happened was they, I guess, got in. A lot of these developers use Slack, Discord, and all this stuff. So there was a Slack channel, and they somehow got in this employee Slack channel, and they got all these clips and stuff. So leaked all this stuff. Pretty crazy.
If that is true, and they were using Slack, and what I'm assuming is,
I think that's what the story is. They got into Slack,
and I saw an angle of this. Of a lot of this was kind of predicated on everybody working from home and like COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
They're posting so many more things in this
that wouldn't have happened normally.
Place that they wouldn't have done. It is kind of crazy to think all these videos of Grand Theft Auto are out here on some Slack channel. Yeah. If you can just get the invite, you can get it all.
You get the invite, you get everything.
Yeah,
the keys to the kingdom, and
not very secure.
On one part, it's like, yeah, that COVID stuff happened. And it's like part two, I think they are so secretive. I think that was a mission for people. It's like, we got to get information. Like there was even the rumblings, and these clips backed up the rumors that there was going to be a female lead.
Yep.
And then some other guy.
Yep.
And I think there's a third one. I don't know if he was in that as well. I just know the female lead and the other guy was in these video clips. So it's like that backed up.
You're playing as a female.
Well, yeah, we heard.
I saw some of the pictures or videos like running around. I just want, as a side note, because I know there were arguments, this looks bad, this looks good. I thought it looked awesome for alpha footage.
Yeah.
The girl's dress.
Yeah.
There was a video of her like turning around and doing this, and you could tell they were almost trying to demonstrate the dress.
Yeah.
It looked like a real girl with her dress going around. Like it was crazy.
So I want to say too, I really loved a lot Grand Theft Auto 5, but I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was like it for me, like technology wise and graphical wise, and I thought that game was just a masterpiece of all these pieces fitting. Whereas Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't think reached that, and Red Dead did. So now I'm excited for them to take everything they learned from Red Dead. And watching these clips, I just was getting excited because I was like, they're going to take everything they did from Red Dead and put this into a Grand Theft Auto, and this is going to be incredible.
It got me more excited for the game.
Yeah. They need to thank this guy instead of arrest him, which they did update. They did arrest. It was a 17-year-old kid in the UK. They got him. But
if he didn't here's my take. Okay, if he didn't use malicious software and hack, if it really was like a social engineering thing, he just got into Slack. Yeah, I understand a slap on the wrist. Dude, that's their problem. If they've got this crap
I think because
in
the stuff
was Slack
but the other thing, this is their IP, and I think he was threatening to release the entire source code to
he's screwed.
To Grand Theft Auto 5.
He is screwed.
He had
I wish he would have. Oh my god, can you imagine? I think all these games source code should go out after a certain amount of time. Let the fans have it.
Yeah. Kid, if you get a chance, click that before you go to jail. But that was pretty crazy. One of the biggest leaks ever in gaming. I can't think of anything bigger.
Half-Life 2, which
that was a big one, yeah.
But this is bigger culturally for Grand Theft Auto is bigger culturally for the world
Now,
than
yeah.
Half-Life is for the world.
Yes.
Half-Life's big for like PC gaming, but like
Yeah.
my wife doesn't really know what Half-Life is. She said that the other day where I was talking to her about, I was showing her my top rated games because she was looking at this thing I rate games on. She was flipping through it, asking questions. She was like, "What's Half-Life?" Because she's
Yeah.
like not really heard me talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell her what Grand Theft Auto is.
Yeah.
You know, like it's pretty massive.
Pretty big leak, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens with Grand Theft Auto 6. We also had some, finally, some directs and state of plays.
I feel like we've
This
been
month?
kind of dry on that.
We've been
stuff for
dry,
a
so we
while.
finally got that. We also got, it was not talked about at the state of play, but we did get, I think this was this month, they announced, or it might have been last time we were talking about the PSVR 2.
Yeah, we talked about that. Last
Okay,
time.
that was like okay, yeah. So that's coming next year. But they did have a state of play, and they did show more of like the games that we're getting and stuff. And Resident Evil is coming to that. What is crazy with that is they've talked more about and people have got actually we did get since the last podcast impressions of this. So people
Yeah.
have been able to write about their experience
Yeah.
using the PSVR 2. And one thing that's been like everybody that's like wrote about is like this is like kind of magic. I put in our group chat like somebody was saying that it felt like a PS2 to PS3 jump of like getting HD for the first time because the PSVR I loved. One of the biggest gripes right out the gate, even when it launched, was like, oh, it's kind of blurry. Like you're getting kind of blurry because you have to hit that constant 60 or whatever frames per second, 120 or whatever frames. I think it's 120 like frames per second. Like it has to be that fast or you're gonna get sick. So what this one is big on is that it has eye tracking. And what is cool is they're able to use that technology. It's like if I'm looking over here, they can like render this less. You know what I mean? Like if the eye is looking
That's
over
amazing.
here, and as the eye is guiding, they'll only show where the eye is like looking at. And it's like I forget what it's called, like foveated rendering, or I don't know. I'm gonna screw up the term.
We've talked about that for a long time.
But
when
what's
they get
gonna
that.
what's gonna be awesome about that for gameplay mechanics is, do you remember the freaking what was it called, the London heist thing? Remember when that guy got up in your face and flicked the cigarette at you?
Oh, I
and
was like looking
jumped,
away,
and I couldn't even look at him at times. Like it was like freaky. Like these characters, if they're gonna like interrogate you or
they'll
talk
know
to you,
if you're not looking.
they're gonna know. It's like, look at me, and it's like, oh shoot, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna be able to use that to their advantage, and I think the gameplay mechanics for that are
That's
gonna be really cool.
That's really cool. That's very cool.
Or like jump scares won't happen unless you're looking at something. You know?
Gosh.
Which is even bigger of a hell for me that doesn't like that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, people were like wowed by it. They said it was like magic. They said, so what's cool is they're using the technology of the DualSense, and the controllers are in the headset. So there's rumbles and like feelings. So they showed a part, and I feel for them, and I think they did a good job. They released like a kind of a hype trailer PSVR 2.
Yeah.
And they showed Resident Evil 7. And there's a part in that game when like bugs or something are flying.
Oh gosh.
And they showed him looking, and that's when they put on the screen like there are like haptic feedbacks on the head a little bit, so you could just feel like bugs and stuff on you.
Oh, this is gonna be so immersive.
Because it has that DualSense
That's gonna freak
feedback.
people out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I'm very, very excited.
Well,
about
you've
that,
kind of sold me because the haptics on the controller is so good. There's one thing, not to be too down, but I heard it's not going to have backwards compatibility with PSVR.
no backwards compatibility.
That freaking sucks because
Yeah.
I've been waiting to play Astrobot. And I finally was like, I don't want to dig that old one out.
What I think is going to happen, it's a bummer because they did the same thing with PS3 games, the PS4. It's like those games are stuck. We're just going to port them basically, and you're going to have to repurchase them. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to
Sony
they're going to make a new Astrobot thing and port it. I think that's what's going to happen.
This is where I leave Sony, you know.
Yeah, they're not good at
This is where I
backwards
leave
compatibility.
Sony Fanville, and I just say, frick them, man.
Yeah, they're
That
not
just
good at
drives
that
me
stuff.
Insane.
I think just with the new controller so different from that motion thing that
But I could see that, and I could see where the haptics and
yeah, I think they're
just let me play
moving
the
on.
old version on the new hardware, and then if I want the haptics, I pay $10 to
Yeah.
upgrade or something. I mean, there's just better ways to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll get off my old man porch.
That's what's happening. But they did do a state of play. Sony did. I can't. The one thing that stood out to me, it was kind of a short kind of thing. They showed God of War, but to me, it's like that's coming out in November. I'll just play it, and I just did not watch any of that. I'll just play it then. But they showed a game called Stellar Blade. I want to make sure I'm saying that right, and that's the name of it. Stellar Blade. Did you see? And then they showed some mech game too. My internet went out or something.
I watched
was
all
acting
of
weird
it.
and-
Yeah, I sat down and threw them on, and I saw the Stellar Blade. I get that one. I get that one mixed up. There was like two or three kind of similar games.
Yeah, right back to back.
Character action type. The mecha one looked cool. It was in like an opener kind.
I'm dying for a mech game. I'm dying for a freaking to make a
that looked good.
Armored Core or something. But
the mech game, the name's escaping me, looked good. The Stellar Blade game, I thought it might be a platinum game at first.
it looked like
good.
one, but that looked
Were
incredibly
people
graphic.
saying was that related to the Pragmata?
I don't know. Also, did they show Life of P in this or Lies of P?
They didn't.
That's the name.
They might have.
I don't think they did, but
the Bloodborne ripoff.
the Bloodborne looking game. But yeah, we got some more news on that stuff. So that, and then we got a Nintendo Direct, big Nintendo Direct,
Big Nintendo Direct.
because we got. For me, there was a 8 billion farm
farming
simulation games.
I laughed when the fourth one happened.
Yeah, it was one that called Various Day Life.
Yeah, various day life. The one that was kind of interesting because everybody grows old together, but I just was like, I don't even.
There
finish
is certainly a market for it, or they wouldn't
Yeah.
have put 8,000 of them in there.
Stardew Valley and.
But they showed a bunch of that. For me, though, and I think for a lot of people, the biggest news out of that was we got a name for the next Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, which
It's a
there
weird
was
name.
there was rumors leading up. Well, the Queen died. Spoiler alert, if you didn't hear. And there was something that came out and said, "Oh, they're thinking about delaying the direct because the Queen died." I was like, "Really? You're gonna push it back?" I guess. I get it. Like, what's going on over there? But then when they announced Tears of the Kingdom, I was like,
Makes a lot more sense.
It clicked. It was like,
Am I the
oh.
only one that when they first showed it? Maybe I am. I thought it was Tears of the Kingdom because there's like it's tearing apart.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like parts of the
maybe they-
land are tearing apart and like floating, and I thought it was Tears of the Kingdom, and I was like, that's kind of a weird name. And then it wasn't until later I watched some videos and people were calling it Tears. I was like, oh, okay, it's
maybe
Tears,
they typoed it.
or maybe it's just it's the same. You spell it the same way.
Oh, yeah. They didn't say it though, did they? Like,
I think it's spelled
verbally?
the same way. Tear.
yeah, you're right, isn't it?
I thought it was
Or
Tears.
is it TARE?
That's not
Like you're tearing something, or there's a tear in it.
I think singular tear is TEAR.
We got to get confirmation on this because
Tear, TEAR, pull or rip something apart to pieces with force. And in all of these trailers, it's parts.
tears
It's
tears
part
of the
of
kingdom.
it's parts of land coming
Yeah.
off of Hyrule, and they're floating.
Yeah.
And you're traversing.
Maybe
these
it's a
tears.
double.
And maybe it is. And I think in the video,
Meaning
they
there.
always have. You can play Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like they might have said Tears, and that might be
I
why
don't-
everybody's saying that.
I
but-
don't think they did.
So
It
like
was a silent
it might be a
trailer.
double entendre thing. It
Yeah.
might, but I thought it was Tears. But then when I watched videos, everyone's calling it Tears,
Yeah.
which is just kind of I think Tears is a weird name.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird name. It's like a Death Stranding type thing. It's
Yeah.
gonna take me. I'm used to that one now. It's gonna take me some
What
time.
was out of all the names of the Zelda one, what was the weirdest one? I think
I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is awfully weird.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Let's run through them.
There was Link to the Past.
That's classic. Link
Ocarina of
Between Worlds,
Time,
Ocarina of
Majora's
Time.
Mask. This is all just normal.
Wind Waker is kind of.
But some of the
weird.
stuff is we've heard it for so many years. I think we've just accepted
It's
it.
just more wordy. Tears
A
of
Link
the
Between
Kingdom.
Worlds. Well, that was pretty wordy.
Yeah.
A Link Between Worlds. It's a lot.
Breath of the Wild so I love when they announced that name because that was just a perfect name for what they were showing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Don't know. Maybe Tears of the Kingdom is the newest weirdest one. Until the next one comes out.
I'm
It's
calling
called-
it Tears until someone. It's GIF. It's gonna be that.
Yeah. Tears or tears? Put in the comments. What do you
Yeah.
think? But what do you think? I am very excited. I'm going to buy it, of course, every Zelda game day one. But in the back of my mind, I'm looking at it. I'm like, this game. I mean, it's going to be graphically the same as a game we played in 2017.
Very much that.
And but at the same time, I think I have confidence that they are going to release Switch 2 next year.
I've got a feeling. Yeah.
I think they're going to announce a Switch 2 probably first or second quarter next year, and then that is going to be their big release title. It'll still come to Switch 1. But they've been doing that the past.
I'll buy a new Switch.
They've been doing it. They
do
did it
that.
for Link to the Twilight Princess, and then they did it for Breath of the Wild.
Dude,
and that's worked out great for
They do
them.
a Switch 2, but they don't give backwards compatibility for all these digital games. I will literally. I don't even know what I'm.
I feel like they might
They should.
if they take a a page out of Xbox's book, or even Sony's has had like some free updates to update. I would love to freaking play Breath of the Wild at like a 4K or whatever.
That'd be amazing.
Oh my gosh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I feel the same visually.
Just graphically, it's like, but the
I
gameplay
could
will be
even
fun.
get over that. I guess what I'm feeling
Is
right
the frame
now,
rate?
No, what I'm feeling right now is, I guess Game Awards this year will be the real test, because that's when we got that iconic Breath of the Wild trailer that really made it clear what this was going to be. Both of the trailers we've gotten have had, cool little thing there, okay, but I'm not getting the sense of this is a whole new world.
Yeah.
It's like, a couple little islands here, a couple little islands there. And then it's like, I'm not getting, there's no real story in these trailers, which is fine, but I'm waiting for that big sweeping with the music from the game. And like the music in the Breath of the Wild trailer, it was like, wow, like I'm just, so far it's been very safe, I feel.
Yes.
I'm almost waiting. You remember how we were getting some Odyssey stuff, and then they showed the Odyssey trailer with like the big mechanic where you could take over things? It was like, okay, hold on. Now this is
I think they're holding stuff close
There's
got
to be, now that little bird you're flying on, that looks
There's
fine.
something with flying. I will say
the artwork looks amazing.
Yeah.
But
good. For me, as someone who hates Skyward Sword, I was getting post-traumatic stress disorder when he ran and jumped off the thing. I'm like, I've seen this before, and I didn't like the last thing that did that, but I'm sure it'll be good. The
other thing I can't get out of my brain is right after Breath of the Wild came out was Red Dead came out the next year. And I remember when there were the first rumors about a Breath of the Wild sequel, the big rumor, and Jason Schreier was saying this, was all of the young developers at Nintendo were taking a bigger leadership role on the sequel to Breath of the Wild. So the same guys directing it, but they have more young guys in leadership on it. But that all of those guys had been playing a lot of Red Dead 2, and they were obsessed with it.
Oh, shit.
And they were really influenced by Red Dead 2 while working on this, which I don't even know. That's such a different game than Breath of the Wild, but this looks like, I keep asking like, well, where's that inspiration going to come in? Because I'm not seeing it
Link's
yet.
going to be playing the guitar next to the fire.
I've got a plan, Link.
What did spoiler alert, somebody gets, oh my gosh, there's a giant mosquito in here.
You want me to kill it?
Yeah. He's dead.
He's dead.
That was crazy.
Mosquito.
He looked like a freaking
he was
Tears of the Kingdom enemy.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
enemy.
that was a tear in my kingdom. What were we talking about?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
I'm still calling it Breath of the Wild 2.
Hey, Breath of the Wild 2's out. You can't call it that, man.
Death Stranding, Tears, like these weird R words.
Yeah, what are we doing with these weird names?
Someone needs to tell these localization companies don't bring those things here.
Yeah, what are you doing? Maybe it'll be a different name. Maybe it'll be Breath of the Wild 2 here.
Maybe it's going to be Red Dead inspired, where after you finish the game, like Link will die and you'll play as Zelda in the end game. Like I could see
that would be awesome.
Oh, geez, spoiler alert! I won't even say for what. If you didn't get that reference, just keep going.
Spoiler alert!
But if you got it,
for something,
gonna build my house together. I'd like to see Zelda building a little house with her little baby with Link.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or what do you get? Malaria?
Yeah, he got I think it was malaria.
Dysentery or something.
Yeah. That was kind of like Eventide Island on Breath of the Wild, but worse because he got malaria.
Yeah.
He got, it was
maybe
dysentery.
that happened to Link and he'll have to, I don't think it's dysentery.
It wasn't malaria. What did he get? I remember when they said it, I was like, oh no. But then I was like, I don't know how bad that is because it's been eradicated for so long.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up what this guy
was. It polio?
No,
they didn't have polio
he
back
didn't
then.
end up in an iron lung. He was coughing a lot. Arthur.
Maybe he had like pneumonia. That's the one thing you talk about, like time travel. You don't want to go back that time.
He had TB, tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Yeah, that sounds like a Western.
Yeah. So when he got it, they were like, "You've got tuberculosis," and I was just like,
Is that bad?
Is that bad? How bad is this?
Well, for someone living where the
yeah,
medicine is they put a stethoscope.
I think if you get a cold, it's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah. Also, I don't know if you saw this today. This is brand new, hot off the press. E3 is returning in 2023, full scale. There is a new people behind it. There's a new organization.
So the ESA is not doing
I don't think they're doing it. It's something like Read something or whatever, or taking it over. And they said it is going to be people are invited back now, the public is invited back. It is and they're gonna have announcements leading up. It sounds.
Are the publishers gonna go?
I am wondering if they're having discussions.
I've got to think they've all kind of
Please.
taken a step back and said, "Hey,
this is
the
so
fans
exciting.
could really use
this is so exciting.
This has been the worst 2 years.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And we were even talking I guess because E3 was getting weird and people were leaving. Sony left or whatever because the manager. I don't know what happened with Sony, but they weren't happy with it. But I miss the days. Oh, somebody's that I used to work with. His daughter is 13 or something, 14, and I think she plays games. And he texted me the other day and said, she asked me today, how was E3 back in the day or whatever? And she was reminiscent. I have heard about this thing and it was crazy. And I was like, dude, we'd be at work freaking out. We were working, watching these streams.
Yeah.
And we
would
exciting.
be on vacation and we would all stop and we'd go sit in a room and watch it together on a bed.
It was so exciting to hear the big announcements and whatever. And I mean, that's how a big thing for the channel was our reactions and because we are genuinely, that's how we feel. That's when we're reacting and stuff. We're super pumped. But E3 2023 is back. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm crossing my fingers that they get. Please bring us back the big showy. Please let Sony come back and have some orchestra on the stage.
Yeah, I want to see Phil Spencer out there with the big car.
Yeah, I just love the showy stuff, but I'm a sucker for that. But do it for my coworker's kid.
What's your favorite E3 announcement of all time?
I think it has to be Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay,
I think that was just so electric and just so crazy. But then it was Shenmue and Last of Us in that same thing. Yeah, that same E3. That was my
crazy
2015 and 2016 are tied kind of.
I think the reveal of Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding because we were all in the basement.
Yeah, and you can see that on our channel. That's our first big our reaction channel we ever put. Was that one?
That was my favorite. That was my favorite.
That was crazy.
It was just it was so electric. What is going on?
But yeah, I think the gaming industry is waking up. They're leaking stuff. They're getting ready for E3. A lot of stuff is happening. Speaking of happenings, have you been playing any of these games we're talking about?
I have been playing some games. I'm going to go kind of I don't know that I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on any one game. Oh, no, there is one I do want to talk a little bit more about than the others. So the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to talk just a little bit about streaming.
Okay.
Games. So I've just been really busy.
Because Twitch has been doing good lately.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we go into Twitch. I've been doing more streaming because I just haven't had a lot of time. To sit.
Streaming. I have something to say on that too. But yeah,
I haven't had a lot of time to sit and play a game for 8 hours in my basement lately. It's just been an hour here, an hour there, and a lot of times me and my wife, because it's been nice out and it's the last few days of sunlight. I've not been wanting to sit in my basement on my big TV and play, so I've been sitting in the living room. So I've actually kind of started to do a little bit more streaming. I got a Steam Link, set that up, and I've been using that. And then I was trying to buy a second Steam Link for my other TV, and you can't buy them anymore. But then I saw all these people saying, well, yeah, just get the Steam Link app. And I was like, what do you mean the Steam Link app? You can download an app now on your phone that turns your phone into a Steam Link. And you can play with a controller and play off of your Steam in your house on your phone.
Oh, wow.
And I had a clip, and I had my phone, and I've been playing games like that in my upstairs.
And how's that working?
It's working great.
It's working great?
Working great.
That's awesome.
So I've got my Xbox controller. I got a little clip, and it holds my phone, and I was playing Risk of Rain 2. I was playing some Destiny. I tried Splitgate. That was working.
Oh, wow.
So that was amazing. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I've got this all set up. I'm going to try out that Xcloud app because that's even another level.
Yeah.
I'm not even running it on my Xbox. I'm just streaming from this Microsoft Cloud. I've been playing Forza 5 at night on that. It works great.
Wow.
Every now and then it slows down for a second. And then what I like is it slows down, but they've got that server set up to where when it slows down, it's not like the game's still running somewhere and you can't see it. They slow the instance down, if that makes sense. So when it kind of slows down, then when it goes again, it's not like it speeds up real fast.
Yeah.
Then you're just good and you keep going. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was just going to say streaming's kind of working as like a little bit of a thing for me, here and there. And obviously I prefer all things equal sitting down playing on my hardware, and I've got plenty of that. But it's just been kind of cool to kind of mess around with some of that stuff. But the game I initially set my Steam link up for, I reverse sorted all my backlog by Metacritic rating. Because I've got a lot of games I want to play, but I was like, I should just play. What are the games I own that are the most highly rated that I haven't played? And so the top one was Batman Arkham City.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you know what? Let's dive into Batman Arkham City. We'll see if I like it, if I finish it. And I'm a little over halfway. That game is awesome.
That's cool.
That game is
I feel
great.
like those are split. I feel like people really freaking love Arkham Asylum and don't like Arkham City or Arkham Knight. Is that the other one?
That's the third one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Origins, which was
Origins
like
is
a
a
side
spin-off.
game.
But yeah, I think that's usually the camps I see.
Yeah.
I really liked all three of the games, but I did like City a lot.
That's kind of how I'm feeling. Asylum I played years ago, went back in my 52 games in 1 year.
Yeah.
I played it. And I remember thinking, this is fun. I like this Arkham setting. I like what they're doing. It felt a little bit contrived with the Metroidvania elements. And I felt a little bit like, oh, now I got to go back here. And I didn't find it as like exploratory. I found it more like arduous. Like, now I got to go here and then I'll use this tool. Now I go here and use that tool. So I put off playing City forever, but I just have been in a Batman mood. It's like getting a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in and I have been blowing through this game and I
Yeah.
love it. I like the open zone.
I like you
And
got to
then you
explore
get
Gotham.
to
It's
the
fun.
yeah, and then you get to the story parts, and then you're in a building like Arkham Asylum. I like that back. And
I think you're really
forth.
gonna like Night then.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna play through all these, and it's not really that long either. I'm halfway through it, and I've been playing it for like 5 hours. So, yeah, Batman
Cool.
Arkham
Yeah,
City. So,
I like
did
City.
you have a ranking of those, or you just liked them all?
I like Night the best, and then City, and then Asylum. But they're all fun. They're
Okay,
all really
cool.
fun games. But I like Night the best.
It's just such a fun celebration of Batman. Although I'm gonna call BS on something because I do love, like, you meet all these characters and you get their bios and you
Yeah.
read and you can see like in their bio like when they first appeared. But all that being said, look, I'm a relatively tall guy and I'm relatively skinny. Would you say
Okay.
I look like Batman?
No,
And I won't even take that personal. I don't look like Batman.
doesn't look like Batman.
Batman in Arkham City, when you read his stats, is my exact height weight. 6'2",
Really?
210. I am 6'2", 210.
So you think they messed that up?
Well, I'm just like, dude, like, he's like, God, when you look at
But
him.
maybe it's the armor. His armor's thick.
Maybe his armor's thick.
I think his armor's thick.
So maybe I'm closer to Batman
I think
than
you
ever
are
thought.
Batman, actually. Let's take that back.
So I don't know. I just thought that was a little odd. Well, then, but
what
then,
about Robin's?
hey, but then they said
thing?
the Joker was like, he was like 5'8" or 5'9", like 150.
Oh, okay. I'm closing on.
You're
Joker
closing in on the
status.
Joker.
Okay.
So anyway, so yeah, Batman Arkham City, fun
There you
game.
go. That's cool that you're playing that. On the streaming stuff, I talked about this on a recent hangout. So we stream games every Thursday. Me and Pierce, check that out on the channel. But I was talking about the streaming stuff because we got a new TV, and with the new TVs, they have built into the TVs now. You can stream Nvidia GeForce stuff I haven't seen. And I haven't had like a good like new TV like that in a while. Like I had a Vizio TV. I really liked the Vizio TV I had, but the interface was slow and they didn't have any of this GeForce or streaming stuff.
The new Samsung TVs have an Xbox app, and it does what my phone does, and you don't even need a console.
Yeah, and I think this one might have the Xbox thing too, but it has the GeForce thing I saw on there, and I kind of was scrolling through, and I was going, wow, I could literally just link my controller to the TV and stream this if I wanted, if I had the GeForce like subscription. I was like, wow. And I was like blown away. And my wife was down here and we were looking at stuff at the TV. And I showed her, I was like, isn't this crazy? Like, you can actually stream everything and it's just streaming to the TV. And so for me, that is just shocking and really cool how far we come because I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And she went, yeah, because, and she looked and she was like, well, my music streams.
My music streams, my movies
my
stream,
TV shows
my
and,
TV
and
stream.
Netflix, why wouldn't the video game stream?
Live TV can stream.
And like and then it like clicked. I went, oh my God, yeah, this is, I mean, we've already talked and we know this is where things are going.
Yeah.
But it was like, that was like the nail in the coffin. It was just like, oh yeah, physical is donezo because that expectation is already in people's heads. They don't even know how hard it is to get that to run.
Yep.
Versus a streaming service for like movies like Netflix or whatever, or music. It is a totally different ball game when you have inputs coming in and out, and
it's pretty
crazy.
incredible.
So for me growing up, I mean, you get to see all this stuff. That's the other part is like, I love the convenience, and that's like where you were talking about how cool it is. Like you got it working and whatever. And I love like having the convenience factor. There is like kind of like because like I have all this physical stuff and I have love for that, but I also am excited about the future, and I love that like there's different ways for people, because some people that will want to play some of these new games but can't get the new PS5 or whatever. It's like, oh, I can stream the next Call of Duty, or I can stream this. Oh, and then it's plug it in and it's ready to go. And it's like it is going to be a more casual market. It's going to explode the gaming market. It's
going. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's what Phil Spencer said 5 years ago. He was like, right now, there are billions of people with phones in their pockets. He's like, I would love for them to play Ori and the Blind Forest. Mm-hmm. If we can just get them used to a controller, they can use their phone.
Yes.
And he was right.
Yeah.
And it's getting there.
Yeah,
but,
we're in a really good place. Even with Sony announcing their little, they had a, it's called Backbone or Bone something.
Yeah.
And it was this other manufacturer that makes for like these phones, and they made one that looks like a DualSense controller.
I need to look into that.
And you just plug it in and it just works like it looks like a PS5 controller.
Yep.
And you can pull up the Sony app and have everything there. You can use it for other games, I'm sure, but other platforms. But
I haven't tried streaming my Sony stuff to my phone yet.
I think that just solidifies like what we're seeing now that's going on in the gaming industry. And we've talked about multiple podcasts in a row of all these acquisitions.
Yeah.
It's streaming wars. It's like we have to, like everyone's picking their team for dodgeball, and dodgeball is about to start.
Yep.
And dodgeball is streaming from the TV. It's streaming from your phone. It's like no longer you have to have this big honking machine.
That's why I'm saying I think we'll get a PS6. I think Xbox truly will be done with console generations. Now, the Xbox One, you have an Xbox One, I have a Series S. They're different generations. They might as well be the same box.
So if you think about it, everybody has a phone in their pocket. Like a majority, I'm speaking out of my butt, but to say that I feel pretty confident that I can go down the street and see 8 jillion people with a phone. Yeah. Right. And those people now have access to fluid, as far as it is now, streaming to play it. I do wonder, I think we will get, what I think it's waiting on is everybody has the phone, but how do you, like even with me with that Vizio that I bought freaking, in 2018 or whenever I bought it, I didn't have that streaming thing on there and it can't do it.
How do you get it in everybody's
How do you get in everybody's home? I think it's going to take another decade for them to refresh people's TVs. Yeah. And then I think it's going to shoot off. And I think we might get a PS6 and an Xbox system, because if you think about it, that's just a thing that lets you play it. Like it lets you. It's kind of an update to their TV. It's going to be a box maybe this big. Yep. It might even be like a Chromecast.
It might be.
It'll be a Kindle
I think you're going to get a PS stick and an Xbox stick.
A PS stick and got the new console here, guys. Unboxing.
But what I love is my anticipation would be Nintendo, because their basis as a toy company first, will always have some kind of a dedicated hardware.
Yes, because they're toys.
And this is where I think PC gaming will continue to flourish. That's going to be the place for the hobbyists that wants the physical equipment. Yeah. So, like I think, that's why I think Sony's investing in PC, because I think they're like, well, the people that care about frame rate and perfect everything, just sell their games on Steam. Yeah. And they can get it that way. But all these other people, you're getting the TV app.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and then they don't have to manufacture anything. Now, guys like Mark Cerny, I mean, like their whole life has been PlayStation
Yes.
physical. So that's why I think they're getting into these accessories and the
Yes.
PSVRs and the DualSense. I think that their engineering teams will go to more accessories and for PC
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
we're
'cause
living in crazy
that's a good
times.
point because like with the PSVR, you're not getting that from your phone
No.
or whatever. You can't even plug it. I mean, there's ones that you can plug it's a totally different experience to get the haptic feedback and the headset.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be these weird little peripherals and stuff that they're going to keep developing. And it's a very for some reason everything exploded in my mind. We've been talking for months about all the acquisitions and streaming. I feel like that's a big part of our podcast recently and this year. But man, that really took off when my wife was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And I was like, "Oh, it's collect over." Like the mainstream is like, "Oh yeah, I can have this on my TV." And once more people update their TVs or, and see those apps front and center, it's like, "Oh, that looks like an interesting thing. Oh, I'll play that or whatever. Oh, I can just play it." I think when that, even me, so hardcore game is like, I'm excited by this. Like, I'm like, oh, like you can do that now?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
yeah, it's wild.
Crazy.
Well, we're living in the future. What other games? I had some others, but did you have anything?
I went back to the past, baby, 2013, when things were good. And the pandemic.
Play Dragon Age Origins?
The pandemic had just started. The fake pandemic. And that before it got bad, because Last of Us Part 1.
Dude,
that was when the pandemic was cool. When Last of Us Part 2 came out, we were in a literal pandemic playing a game about a pandemic. Me and Pierce talked about that. It was like when that game hit, no matter what, that stuck in my gut. Like
it wasn't the mood.
I was playing and I was just like,
right?
I was like, I am like, there's people that I know have died from this, and it's like. Like
it was worst possible timing.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a worst possible time. But to be fair, they probably didn't plan on the worldwide pandemic.
No, they probably didn't.
Yeah.
Can you imagine working on that game every day? That's what you've got for work, and then you look at the news. Oh my god,
that would suck. That would just be
because they said that they had like people were having post-traumatic stress disorder working on that game. I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
The closest thing up to that point was when Metal Gear Solid 2 was about to come out, and they delayed it because the 9/11 had happened.
Yeah.
And there was more terrorist things going on, and I think that's why they pushed it back, because it's very terrorism like related.
Which one?
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Got pushed back.
I think
so like they were working on that, and then like that just happened, and they're about to put that game out, and it's like, oh, we're putting this game out in a different world now. Same thing with Last of Us Part 2. It's like, oh, we didn't know that this was actually gonna freaking happen. So we popped in. That was the thing. So with getting this new space or whatever, I had my TV from my last home. And I'm going to give shouts out to, it's called Artings, I think, just search up Artings. And if you type in like TV size calculator, it will tell you how big. Because some people are like, I had a friend back in the day that got a TV that was like 70 inches. And he lived in the neighborhood of my parents, so it was in a house that size.
Oh gosh, it was just too big.
And it was too big. We'd be sitting on the edge of his bed, and it was from here to like where the camera's at. Actually closer. And you'd be we were like this, and we'd have to sit all the way back on his bed, like all the way back to like in the backside of the room to even like get a kind of good picture. Basically meaning like if you go to this, like you're supposed to go online, look at this calculator, and it will tell you put like where are your eyes at, rough, to where the wall where the TV's at. And it will tell you your size. So I did that for the one. We got a new TV.
Is that down here?
Yeah, it's down here. Because the other one, when we brought the TV from the last house, my wife was sitting here and she was like, you know what? We do need a TV because it doesn't fit with the space anymore.
Yeah.
But so we got this, or no, I sat down here with the TV. We hadn't got the TV yet. We weren't even really talking about it, and I didn't like research TVs yet. And I sat down, had Last of Us Part 1. I got all of this stuff set up. This took like 2 weeks to set up this entire thing or whatever. I sat down to rest. I'm like, I want to play Part 1, Last of Us. And I'm looking at this TV from me, and I'm going, I gotta play this on a OLED. Yeah. Like I gotta play it on a new OLED.
You gotta do it the right way.
I just have a regular like an LED, which I really love. It has HDR and stuff. I really did think that TV looked great, but the size and OLED and stuff. So I researched for like 3 hours straight, like what's the best TV you can get now.
Yeah.
And I found it was I have this model LG C1. So here's the thing: they have like a newer model C2 or whatever, and they're phasing that out. So I saved a bunch of money, just get the old one. People are like, just get the old one. It is still amazing, incredible picture. Got that set up. Got a 77-inch is what we got, and that was what 77-inch.
That's what they recommended.
And it was 79 inches what was supposed to be on the wall. And I got a mount for it, got everything. Dude, have you ever mounted a TV?
It's hell on earth.
It took me 6 hours.
Yeah, I did.
Because you don't want to screw it up.
I've done 3 of them, and
you don't want to.
They always were. They were that one in my basement. I thought I was going to lose my mind. There's a chimney behind it. It was like,
yeah.
So, but it takes a long time. But the one in my bedroom, I made the mistake one day of committing to something I needed to do, and I had like a 2-hour window to hang it. And it was a little TV.
5.
It was the little TV you had in your room. It was like, it's a little TV. It doesn't matter if the TV's little. The process of getting that thing on the wall is a nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah, it sucks.
I seriously was down here for 5 to 6 hours because I had to measure 3,000 times. You had to see where you wanted it. And it's like, you got to like put the tape around the wall to see where it's going to go and sit down because I didn't want to put it in a stupid position. Got it exactly where I wanted it. But yeah, it took like 6 hours. It was freaking crazy. Got all that up. Got it set. I mean, it took a whole day to freaking get it set up. And here's the thing too, like nobody was home. It was like during the day I had to go get this TV. I had to drive to Columbus to get this TV.
Oh my gosh.
And because that was the only one in the area. It was the only one to get that had that remaining model or whatever. But I picked that thing up. Just imagine, I guess you're going to have to use your imagination, and audio people really have to use their imagination. With the 77-inch TV, they are so ungodly thin now. They're like this. They're razor thin.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you this thing. It's razor thin.
It's like a mirror.
But they had wrapped it. It was an open box model, so they wrapped it around with all this bubble wrap. But I was like, how am I going to get this down? I have to get this mounted. I have to get this down the stairs.
Yeah.
But when you want something so bad, you'll just do it. Because I was like, God, I want to see this TV so bad. I picked this thing up and went step by step. And I got this thing down the staircase. But when you see this thing, everyone that sees it, and Chelsea's like, how? My wife's like, how did you get? It all hits her at once. She's like trying to pick it up. Like she had to help me put it onto the mount.
It's like mom strength when like the kids in the car and you gotta like
because you needed 2 people to put it on the mount. To get it down the stairs, she was like, "You brought this thing down by yourself. How in God's name did you do that?" Like when you look at it, you're like, "How?"
Yeah.
But got it up, sat down, put Last of Us Part 1 in. She came down, sat with me, and I was like, "All right, let's check this thing out."
Yeah.
Like, let's see how this thing looks.
Is it looking good?
Oh
You'll
my
have to
gosh.
demonstrate this for me.
I have to. I had heard from people, and the first time I seen an OLED was with the Vita, and I was like, "Oh, this is with OLED. They can individually turn off every pixel, so it's literally the deepest black you can get. You cannot. That is like perfect blacks on a TV, like how dark it can get." And with that combined with HDR now that we have HDR, you can get really freaking bright white and then dark black. And we turned that thing on. We turned on Last of Us. Oh my gosh. Like it is night and day difference, even to my old TV. And my old TV had HDR like 10 or whatever. There's like 18,000 HDR, like different variations. But I was blown away. And I have played Last of Us. I beat it twice now, Part 1. And playing it again with this remaster and how big the television was, I felt like even more engrossed. Wow. So like when the scary parts came, I was like, God, I can't it's so wrapping around me. This is actually scarier to play in certain parts, but so freaking cool.
How's the new gameplay feel?
The game itself. So getting on the game now, the game is and me and Pierce were talking about this on the Hangout. He was like, I don't think it's worth $70. And it's like, I get that because it's like, we've played this game before. It's like, it's a whole $70. I get that, but they have changed way more. So when we were playing on the Hangout, we pulled up a comparison video. And even when we were playing, Pierce was like, this does look freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But when we pulled up the comparison thing, they've changed entire exteriors. There's a part when you come out of the subway in Part 1. And when you come out of that, it almost looked in the comparison video, they even mentioned it was like in the original game and like when they remastered, all the remaster was an upscale. But the original and that remaster, it almost looked like a restaurant out front, like it had an overhang and had these red whatever.
Yeah.
They totally stripped that out, and now that looks different. Like the
Wow.
cutscene is the same, but they changed the exterior.
Yeah.
The art direction, they've went in and said, "Nah, we've grown."
Yeah.
and changed. It's like, oh god, like
Wow.
it is crazy the difference 2013, like
Yeah.
10 years has made.
I'm gonna
To
have
where they actually changed the art direction in certain points for the better. I think it's actually for the better. It feels very much more lived in and real, even more than the last game, or the original. So yeah, we were just blown away just watching these comparison thing. They've changed all the models and stuff. They've made tests.
She always looked weird to me in the original.
Yeah, she had kind of almost like a skinny face. I couldn't even explain it, but she looks totally different to the point. But like her emotions and the wrinkles and smiling and grimacing and the crow's feet on the eyes are all there and stuff. And it's extremely ungodly detailed. One thing I was playing last night, this is also like, I'm excited. Like since Elden Ring, I haven't really like dug a game in this year that I'm like, oh, I want to get back to it. This has been one I'm like, ooh, I want to like play it, keep playing it and stuff. But I was playing last night and they have added, this is definitely not the original, certain, like they were yelling, like Joel was yelling at Tess, or they were having like an argument. There's a cutscene near the beginning and they're yelling at each other. And you know, when you're like mad or you're just talking fast, if you look in certain sunlight, you spit. Like when we talk, we spit. That's why COVID took over the world. But
they added the spit.
The spit comes down, and it only comes when when it's supposed to. So like when he's like, "You didn't do it," or "You didn't," like that's shooting. The way that the mouth works with the spit actually happens on those words. It doesn't just come out like Sylvester from the cat.
That's
from Looney
a different
Tunes.
level of polish.
It's a different level where it's like where you expect it. We're like, "You didn't do it," or like when the word's supposed to spit, you'll see spit fly out of the mouth. But I saw that detail yesterday. I was like, God,
wow,
with the detail, like, oh, incredible. But
I'm gonna play it this year before the end of the year. I just have not been playing a lot of, I've not been buying anything new.
Yeah, me neither.
But
that's been the first one.
I'm excited to see it on your TV, and that game is. I'm excited to give it another shot. I mean, I think I've talked about this many times. First Last of Us, I liked it, but I didn't really. I didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the gameplay that much.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 is maybe top 5 favorite game of all time. So I feel like I'm gonna like it a lot more this go around with some of the upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, this one I got right back in the swing of it, and this was. We've talked about at length our differences of The Last of Us Part 2, but playing this one again, I mean, it was already in my top 10 video games of all time, but coming back, it's like. And coming off of Last of Us Part 2, I just feel like the pacing for me personally was like I'm doing this for a second and then I'm right back into this, and right when I get bored with this, we're battling, or we're in fights. Okay, now we're just exploring this, and Ellie's talking, and having little story beats here, but
tighter pace game.
Yeah, tighter pace game, but I freaking love it. I do. I mean, if you love Last of Us, dude, figure this out or wait. If the $70 price tag, I get it. If you want to wait, to me, it's my favorite game. One of my favorite games. Grab it on Black Friday.
The Last of Us TV show.
Yes,
trailer dropped.
You can go straight into that. That just dropped. I watched that today. I'm excited about that. I think that looks great.
It looks really good.
It has amazing source material. Now, most video game stuff, movies and TV shows or whatever, I don't think have they made a video game? Oh, I didn't get to watch that Cyberpunk. They have a Cyberpunk anime from the people
I haven't seen it yet.
Who made Kill la Kill, that Studio Trigger.
I need to watch that.
So I'm definitely going to watch that. But all that to say, like, we haven't got like video game related TV shows, but I'm hopeful for this, like, because I always crap on like if movies are going to come out and whatever. But
I know The Witcher's more of a book first, and it's based on the books. But I would say that show is influenced by the games, 100%.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
But
example.
I think TV, high level premium HBO, Netflix TV, is the right medium to adapt a game.
Yeah,
better than movies typically.
Yes,
and this Neil Druckmann was involved.
Yeah, he came on set, and I guess he was involved in all this
And
stuff.
they even put his name on the thing.
Yeah.
So like that makes me feel like there's more. Like they didn't do that for the Uncharted movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I think that, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say that I love the casting, especially on this trailer and stuff. They got the person they have playing Joel. Is it Pascal, the guy?
yeah,
from,
he's
he looked really good.
he looks like
Joel.
the whole cast looks really good.
They look really good. So
they even showed for a brief second. They showed the girl that plays Ellie and a girl with her on like a little merry-go-round.
yeah,
I think they're going to get into the Left Behind stuff,
Yeah,
which they should.
yeah.
It could be like Lost. They might do some flashback type stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm all in for the Last of Us show. And I've always thought Jess would really like that world, but it's like a lot to ask her to watch me play through a whole game.
yeah. I made my wife do that, and when I would do the battle, sometimes she'd be on her phone, and then when the cutscenes came on, she would watch.
But yeah, and maybe I would try that, but almost I'm kind of hoping, kind of like The Witcher, this is a great way to show her this world I like.
Yeah.
And she'll like it too, but she doesn't have to like play a game
Yeah.
or watch a whole game. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Anything else you've been playing?
Tying back in with video game movies and TV show stuff, I watched the Uncharted movie.
Did you?
Which I never thought I was gonna just watch. I just didn't care. I love Uncharted, but like when I saw the movie, it's like
I'm shocked you watch it just because that seemed like something you weren't gonna watch.
We also used it as a test. It was the first movie we watched on this.
Okay.
And I was like, what's on Netflix that'll show this off? And I was like, let's pull up Uncharted movie. Seems like it would be a good way to show this off. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
I felt like people were trying to prematurely judge it.
People really crapped on it, and I will be fair to say I did give it a 2.5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
out of 5. But it was a fun. I'm gonna piss off some people. I think I had as much fun watching that as any recent Marvel thing. Honestly, which I don't like. I'm not crapping on Marvel. I would still, but I'm just saying, like,
it looked like they were kind of gonna like mash up different great set pieces from Uncharted.
Yes.
And is that kind of what they did?
Yes. It felt just like a Uncharted mission. It's like an Uncharted game compressed into they just kind of sped it up, or certain parts they're in different areas already. You know what I mean? Like, we need to go to this place. It was an Uncharted mission or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, or game.
How did the kid do? Was he do okay? Is like a young Nathan Drake?
Yeah, he was fine. He did a good job. Mark Wahlberg, and I think they did an amazing job casting Chloe. Chloe actually is one of the only ones that looks like the actual video game. Mark Wahlberg is okay looking. He's kind of close, but I think Sully is more gray haired.
He doesn't have a mustache, does he?
I think he. I can't think.
Sully in the movie, does he have a mustache?
No, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
He does in the games. Yeah.
But
well, there you go. It wasn't bad.
I wouldn't.
That's how I felt about that Resident Evil movie that came out last year. We went and saw it. Jess was like, "Oh, that was fun." I was like, "Yeah, it was fun." It was like a 2.5. I think I gave it something similar.
Yeah, 2.5. But 2.5 can still entertain you. It's when you get into 1s and half stars. Is like this is not a good.
We've come a long way from like Postal.
Yes.
And like You know,
So I say if you're just looking for something goofy to put on and you like Uncharted, it's like, I'll just put this on. Like, you know, I think there's a funny. I think people might have seen this clip by now. There's a funny Nolan North cameo.
Oh, is there?
From,
nice.
That original voice of Nathan Drake.
Nice.
I think. Well, at the beginning of this movie, I thought it was interesting. It was like Sony. Or like PlayStation Pictures or Productions is what it's called at the beginning, which they already did the Ratchet and Clank movie.
Yeah.
And that I think is a PlayStation production.
I bet they'll put that when they show the HBO Last of Us show.
That might be. I wonder if that's a PlayStation production too. I guess so. But
they need to make some.
Everything's branching off and they're making their own thing. Somebody needs to help Microsoft in the Halo department with their TV show, but
apparently 343 was very involved in that show.
And Nintendo's making the Mario thing, which we're about to get a trailer for.
Are we really?
Comic-Con's going to show
I can't
Chris
wait
Pratt
for Chris Pratt Mario.
So everybody's branching out in all of these different avenues and media. It's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, as far as games, a couple other things I played. Last night, I booted up totally on a whim Bowser's Fury.
Oh, yeah.
And I had started it a while ago, and I was just like, this is a short thing. I love Super Mario 3D
it's like
World.
4 hours of that.
Yeah, so I played it for a couple hours last night,
Yeah.
and I thought I was at the end, and then they bait and switched me. I wasn't at the end.
Yeah.
Bowser, I lowered his health all the way, and then it didn't end. But I like that a lot.
I loved Bowser Fury.
To me, I'm glad it's on 3D World, but that's almost the perfect kind of a thing to launch like a Switch 2 with, like a
Yeah.
little 3. It is like a little Mario game.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of its own. I thought it was shorter than it is. I'm 2 hours into it, and there's still
Yeah.
more to do. So
It's a very short game, but I really loved it, and I think that was partially an experiment for them to see. I think they were getting ready design wise, like how do we branch this off to an open world Mario, and I think it was fun. I think
we're about due for a new Mario game.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll come next year?
When was that? I mean, yeah,
That was the winner after Zelda.
Yeah, so 6 years. Is what
I think
we're
this
coming
time
up on.
next year we'll know about the next Mario.
Yeah, maybe so. E3. Hey,
Yeah.
show us at E3. Announce that.
Yeah.
Have Chris Pratt come out and announce it.
And then other than that, I mentioned some of the other stuff I was streaming and messing around with. But I've been playing Yakuza 0.
Okay.
I am pretty close to the end of that game. I think
Yeah.
I've got 2 chapters left. I've come around on that game. It's been I was looking at my
Yeah, you
save
didn't
files.
like it, and then you
I've
liked
been
it.
playing it for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
I was shocked to see that. I started it in no, that cannot be right. I guess yeah, I started it in 2020,
Yeah.
the spring of 2020, and we're in the winter or fall of
It's time
2022.
to finish it.
So yeah, it's time to finish it. It's just well, I had that stupid book that if you have the charismatic biography,
it made it
everything's way
harder.
harder, and I was trudging through it, and I like the game a lot. You have to be in the right mood because it's just lots of dialogue, lots and lots of dialogue. But halfway through the game, I was like, I think I'm one and done on these.
Yeah.
But then now that I'm getting close to the end and I'm liking it, and I like now the plots come together. They wait a long time to bring all the threads together.
Yeah.
Like there's this guy doing this thing and this guy doing this thing, and
Mhm.
now it's all okay. We know why they're all doing those things
Yeah.
and how they connect. So I'm into it, but I'm getting kind of talked into maybe playing the other ones because this one's like 35 hours.
Mhm.
And I was like, if these are all 35 hours, there's no way in hell I'm playing
Yeah.
the series. But then I was looking like Yakuza Kiwami is like 10 hours, 12 hours. And like
Mhm.
the rest of them up until 6 are like 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we'll see. Maybe I'll try Kiwami out. But yeah, it's a good game. I'm
Kwami's
liking
good.
it.
I like Kwame a lot.
I'll give my final thoughts next time when I beat it because, well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll just say I beat it. I mean, I don't know.
Just say you beat it.
Yeah. So that's all I got for games.
We played for the 20th anniversary on Hangouts, Kingdom Hearts. Me and
The first one?
Me and Pierce, yeah. So I popped the first game in. I made sure to let everybody know it's like I played this when the remaster came out, and as an adult, I was like, as much nostalgia and how much I freaking love the series, this first game, and you played it recently for the first time.
Played it a
As an
couple years ago.
adult coming in, it's like, God, this drags.
I got there
Pretty
with
bad
it, and I
at the
really
beginning.
liked it.
I would say
but
as it got on, it got better.
it gets better the further you
Every
get.
level.
But those first 5-10
yeah,
hours,
it's bad.
it's bad. And like
Yeah.
the first couple Disney worlds, really underwhelming. The Tarzan world.
Yeah, Tarzan was unbearable. But the playing it for the 20th anniversary, you can check out the Hangout and stuff. We talk more in depth about it. But something very funny happened I did want to talk about on the Hangout, which was I tried to explain to Pierce that this story is very crazy. Like, we've gone off the rails. It's one of the most complex, convoluted stories of gaming is in the Kingdom Hearts series. They
Yeah.
are off the wall bonkers. There's so many weird spin-off, or not spin-off, but like a handheld game. You had to play this and that ties in with that character and whatever. And I told him, I remember years ago seeing there's a Google Doc and we pulled up in the Hangout that this guy, very funny, like just will show pictures like this guy hates this guy, and he explains the story and like explain like I'm 5.
Yeah.
He doesn't even give names. He's like, this guy also is part of this man's heart and this whatever. So we went through that, and there was somebody that joined in, shout out, I think it was Zord, joined in the chat, and he was like, I'm actually involved in the story or whatever, and this is that. And he was like, Pierce was even asking like, what is the Kingdom Hearts? And I was like, I think it's like kind of like, he was talking about like, or no, we were talking about how in the game there are nobodies.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then there's like, if you lose your heart, or whatever, you're a nobody, and
Yeah.
that's what becomes the heartless, blah blah. And we were trying to decipher what this actually meant. I said I don't really know, so I was pulling up the wiki. I was doing all this stuff. Zord was helping because it was like, oh, it's more of a like an Asian view on like the soul and body and how they're separating all this stuff. And the more we got in, I was going, this is really cool. And Pierce is like, this is so convoluted still. So I was actually joining for my entire...
You were getting converted.
Yes. My entire life, I've thought this is stupid. But the more I read, I was like, this is actually really thought out. Uh-oh. And Pierce, it was a very funny way to end the hangout, but I was going like, we have to learn about this, and oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about Xehanort. We didn't even talk about Xehanort, Pierce. And he was like, I have to go. And I said, oh, we didn't even mention the Keyblade War, and that's when he left. That's how the hangout ended. But so I always keep bringing that up. We didn't even talk about the Keyblade War, which is this whole other. It's like a 4-hour thing you have to talk about. But I have come around. It's funny.
Wow.
I think that Kingdom Hearts has a cool story now.
Wow.
And it took only 20 years for me to...
So now that you know more, I played the first game, what should I do next?
I would still listen to my explanation.
Still do the cutscenes of Chain of Memories.
Yeah,
because I started the cutscenes of Chain of Memories.
And you couldn't even make it the cutscene.
And I got about 45 minutes in, and I realized pretty quickly, oh, we're just going back to all the same worlds.
Yes.
So do I need to watch that stuff too?
Recap maybe. If you really can't get through it, there's YouTubes and people like videos and they'll talk about it, and it's more cut down. That cut out the fluff because there is some fluff, but I still think it's stupid story. But I had a new respect for it at the end of the stream. I was like, oh my gosh! And I think Zord, he linked something and he sent it on, like, you can check if you go to our like Twitter. I think you can like find it on a recent thing. He sent like he wrote something years ago that like went into all this stuff. So. Very cool, Kingdom Hearts, but happy 20th anniversary, Kingdom Hearts.
Happy 20th anniversary.
Which is crazy. But I think that's it for video games, unless you had something, or you might have some more.
I think that's everything.
Movies. Seems like you've been watching some stuff.
I have been. Do you want me to go first?
I'll get mine out of the way. I watched American Beauty again. Went back. That
movie's canceled.
It is. I watched it again. It is funny, and I plead to people that if you didn't like something, you're like, I hate that movie, but you're saying that from your experience when you watched it as a kid. I didn't hate American Beauty, by the way, but what I'm saying is I view that movie much differently now through a different lens than I did as a teenager when I watched it. I watched this when I was like 18, but as an adult, some of the like him attracted this minor or like this other stuff is more gross to me, or more the themes and stuff like I thought were cool then have a different meaning now, or they kind of hit hard. Like there's for example, have you seen American Beauty?
No, but you're fine.
I'm
familiar with the concept.
It does a great job about themes and all this other stuff of consumerism and like just living the American life in a family. And there's a part where Kevin Spacey's character sees the wife. It's like, you look really good. But they've been fighting and stuff. But he's like, you look really good. And she's on the couch. And he comes up and like starts kissing her. And she's like, what are you doing? Whatever. And he has like beer in his hand. And they start kissing and they're about to get intimate. And she like is like this and they're laughing and stuff. And she looks over and sees the beer is about to spill on the couch. And this always cracked me up as a kid. And I love this part still as an adult. It always stuck with me. And she's like, you're going to ruin the couch. And he goes, what do you mean? You're going to ruin this couch. It's Italian. It's this or whatever. Like it's a $4,000 couch. And he goes, oh my gosh, who cares? And he takes a pill. He's like, this is nothing. This is nothing right here. This is just stuff. This is who cares? But it's such a well played, like acted scene. And I loved watching the scene again as an adult. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool just how certain stuff will like stick with you differently as an adult or whatever you view certain things. But yeah, I gave that movie a 4.5 out of 5. I really love American Beauty. I think they nailed some stuff. It's funny. It's whatever, and really good.
I'm excited to watch it. It's on our list that we're going through. Oh yeah,
it's on your top. You're doing the IMDBathon.
Yeah, I'm doing I have an update. I'm doing the IMDBathon.
Cool.
So last time I watched 3 movies, I think. So this time I've watched 3 movies plus a bonus movie.
Oh, okay.
that's related to them, but it's not on there.
Okay.
It's not on the list technically.
Okay.
So the first one we watched was North by Northwest.
Like that movie.
And I'd never seen that.
Plane flies through.
Yeah, and I've really Hitchcock. I guess I've started to. My wife loves Hitchcock, so I've seen a few of his movies now. I think of them all. Rear Window is really good. Vertigo is really good. I'm excited to rewatch those. This one was really fun.
Yes.
And it was very funny.
Yes.
And I didn't expect that. I didn't know what I was signing up for.
I have trouble remembering certain parts of that movie, but I remember liking it.
Basically, it's the movie where it starts out and he's like this advertising guy and he's like going about his day and he's going to meet some clients and he's at a hotel and a restaurant and he's talking to these guys. He's trying to make a deal or something. And one of the waiters is like, "Oh, Mr. Burnett." I don't know what the name was. "Oh, Mr. Burnett." And he points, but he's pointing like at the guy, the main character, but that's not him. He was just pointing in that direction. And then it like does this crazy zoom effect to these two guys standing in the doorway that look really shady. And they're like, "There's Mr. Burnett." And then like they pull him out of the restaurant. It's like, "What are we doing here, guys?" And just it becomes this crazy fish out of water of this guy who you can't
it's James
tell.
Stewart, isn't it?
No, I think it's Cary Grant.
Oh,
and you can't tell, like, he's kind of brilliant, but you're also like, why wouldn't this guy just go home? Like, get away from this crazy scenario. But then he starts, they think he's this guy, so they try to convince him to do this thing, and you're trying to unravel who do they think this guy is? He's getting involved in like this mob and crime stuff, and then he's like, then he goes acting like the guy that they said he was, and then this guy gets killed that he's meeting, and then he's wanted for murder of like he just killed somebody, and it's not really even who he is. And so it's this crazy awesome story, and there's great set pieces like with the plane, and then the like the Mount Rushmore. There's a great scene with the house behind Mount Rushmore and climbing down the face of the cliff, but it's a very fun movie. It's very good pacing, entertaining. I really liked it a lot.
The plane scene is what I remember the most.
Yeah, and that was a pretty great scene.
There's a small plane that like goes down above his head.
And that was a good scene, but it was very, very funny. It was a funny movie. It reminded me, have you ever seen Burn After Reading?
No.
It's a Coen Brothers movie, and it's one of these movies where just these absurd things keep building on themselves. Yeah. And then in that movie, there's a scene in Burn After Reading where they cut to these guys in the CIA, and this guy's like, "Hey, I want to get you up to date on the whatever case." He's like, "What do you mean the whatever?" He's like, well, then this happened, and then this guy stole this, but then this guy broke into this guy's house to steal it back, but then he got shot by this guy. He's like, "Well, who's this guy?" "We don't know. We're trying to get information on him." Like, it's just like, and then he's like, "What do you want us to do, sir?" And he's like, just keep doing what you're doing." He's like, it's just absurd. And this movie, North by Northwest, had a very similar scene where all this absurd stuff happens, and it just cuts to this boardroom, and it's the CIA, and they're like, "Yeah, and then this guy got framed, and then this happened. Now he's in jail, and this," and they're like, "What do we do?" He's like, "Just don't do anything, it's going to take care of itself." And I just love that idea of these people in the government, like the chaos that is all the things happening. They can just sit back and be like, "Well, we don't have to cover it up because weird things happened and it's covered itself up." So North by Northwest, good movie, worth watching.
North by Northwest. What's next?
So then the next thing was, they all kind of go together, is we got The Dark Knight.
That's why you played Arkham City.
And so what happened was I was playing Batman Arkham City.
Oh, that came first.
And that came first. Yeah, actually we didn't draw. We were playing Arkham City.
The bat or the chicken or the egg?
We were playing Arkham City. I'm getting in a Batman mood, and there's a part in Arkham City where you meet Talia Ghul, and she breaks out of this cage, and then you have to track her to Ra's al Ghul. And I was just playing it, and I was thinking, Ra's al Ghul, all the Batman, all this stuff, Joker. I was like, we got some Dark Knight movies on our list, don't we? And just was like, yeah, we do. And I was like, we should do it. So we did a marathon. We did it in one day. We watched
all three.
Well, we did two, and then we did Dark Knight Rises the next day.
Okay.
But Batman Begins is the bonus movie. That's not on the top 100. But I have a hot take. I had to convince Jess to watch Batman Begins. She's like, "Why? It's an old movie." I was like, "No, it's part of the
three.
She didn't know that.
Oh,
I don't think she had ever seen it.
because it doesn't have Dark Knight in the name.
Well, yeah, and because in a lot of people, I saw Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises before I ever saw Batman Begins. And then when Liam Neeson popped up in Rises, I was like, why is he here?
I might have actually seen Dark Knight as well before
Yeah.
Batman Begins.
A lot of people just skipped the Batman Begins. So I told her, I was like, trust me on this. It's been a while since I watched him, but last time I watched him, I really liked Batman Begins. It's worth rewatching. And it is worth rewatching.
I do
Batman
like it.
Begins is a very good superhero origin movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It's tightly paced. It's a good Nolan movie. It does, I think, the best job of showing. There's a part in the movie where they're driving up on the streets of Gotham, and then the lawyer lady takes an off ramp really quick, and all of a sudden you're in like underground, and it's almost like Final Fantasy VII. Of there's the upper crust and there's the lower crust. And they really get into that in Batman Begins, and they show how quickly you can drop from one to the other. And I thought it was of the three movies, it was the best kind of depiction of Gotham and stuff. And I just really like that movie, and the Ra's al Ghul stuff, and the burning down of Wayne Manor, and the Arkham Asylum stuff. The Scarecrow's a good villain. I thought Batman Begins, very good movie. So that definitely a thumbs up for me. Then Dark Knight. It reinforced that movie is
10
amazing.
out of 10.
It's
a
an
masterpiece.
amazing movie. Very well paced.
It's so long, but it's like you feel like it's been 30 minutes. One by the end. You're like,
yes.
Oh my God.
And all of the little side characters and the little corruption side plots are good. My only down parts about that movie are, I think the boat scene is fine. I like it. It's a good setup. It is a little underwhelming compared to a lot of the second act. It's fine. It's just kind of, it's fine. And then it just kind of ends. He beats up Joker and hangs him from a thing, and then it ends. My bigger thing is the Harvey Dent stuff.
I like the boat stuff because it's Joker going all these people are evil.
Yeah.
Watch what they do.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
That turns on them.
Yeah, I like it.
The people of Gotham kind of become the Batman of that.
They do, and I agree with you there. I was just gonna say Harvey Dent. He just kind of, after he becomes Two-Face, he becomes very over the top in a way that it's just kind of odd in retrospect. He's trying to kill Gordon's kids 12 hours after he got burned.
Yeah,
and it's as an adult watching that movie, I'm just kind of okay. When he dies, I'm like, okay, bye.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that I like the guy that played Two-Face.
Yeah.
I thought it was but it did feel like that, man, it could have just used another couple scenes with just Harvey Dent in it to just really connect you to him. You only see him in the context of when he's meeting Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Or when he's meeting the lawyer girl. You never really get to know him. So then when he has this turn, it's we've really only known you for 20 minutes of screen time. It doesn't hit the same. I almost wish he would have been in Batman Begins. And you would have seen him earlier. And it's fine. The movie's a masterpiece, but that's just a couple thoughts.
Yeah.
But overall, that movie's amazing, and I really, really loved it. Okay, we got to talk about Dark Knight Rises because I loved Dark Knight Rises.
I did too.
I loved it. I had saw it, a couple times. Saw it in theaters, had it on Blu-ray, and there are things about Dark Knight Rises that I do still love, like Bane's character design. All of that is his voice and all that really cool. I actually after watching it I'm really torn on if I even think it's really that good of a movie. And I was shocked. We had to stop multiple times and just try, because with the Nolan thing, I'm more attuned to it now. They just say things and go off in directions.
Yeah.
And when I'm younger, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's Batman. It's a girl. And if you go at it that way, turn your brain off. I still think Rises is beautiful, and it's got. Yeah. That plot is a mess. The plot in The Dark Knight Rises is a mess. The Talia Ghul subplot is you don't know her, and then she's sleeping with Wayne, and she's there, and then they're working on some energy project. The scientist guy, it is very sloppily plotted, and it's very weird pacing. There will be a scene with the Catwoman girl, and Bruce Wayne, literally Bruce Wayne. And then he'll be like, I'm going to have my friend get in touch with you. And then the next scene is her in her Catwoman outfit and Batman in his Batman outfit. And they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I was talking to my friend and he said this. And then it actually in the next scene goes back and it's Bruce Wayne and Catwoman again. And it's just really weird pacing of like, you're seeing these characters that don't know who each other are. And then I told Jess, like, she's familiar with the concept of a mask. She wears a mask. She would put this together in 10 seconds. And it's not like a CinemaSins nitpicking thing. I actually fundamentally feel like that movie has pacing issues and it has plotting issues that remind me of Tenet, honestly, in retrospect. So that all, and then when he, that iconic scene where he breaks Batman's back, I love that whole thing. I love everything where he's in the pit. That all is great. But then when he's getting ready to climb out of the pit in training, they cut back to Gotham. And like 4 months are passing by, and every scene it's like weeks go by, and it's paced so fast, and like the cops are like trying to piece together like a plan, and it's just very haphazard is the word I would use. Is like it could have used more breathing room for the third act to build up.
He probably has a 5-hour cut if you want.
Yeah, there probably is, and I don't know, but I think it's my least. I think it's the least. It's the most inferior of the three movies is my feeling on it. I don't know that I ever really feel like watching it again, to be honest. I like parts of that movie, and I'll go watch those clips on YouTube.
I think it is such I take it as such a, I'd say it's second to Dark Knight for me because I just love the end of the world-esque of it. It is one big final act, it feels like. And I get the disjointedness because I just took it when I watched the theaters, like, this is the ending to this thing. And they just focus on ending.
Yep.
And it's this big, ginormous, like, big thing.
Yep.
So I get that it could be disjointed. I love Bane, like you said. I love the freaking, the football stadium scene.
Yeah, it's very iconic.
All that stuff is like,
and then
end of the world. Like, Gotham is on the end of the world. It felt like the end of the
he's
universe.
like, who can disarm this bomb? And he's like, only me. Breaks his neck.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt side plot stuff, horrible in retrospect. I can't even
remember.
He's like a cop. The movie starts and he goes to Batman's house.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne answers the door, and he goes upstairs with Bruce Wayne, and he's like, I'm investigating something, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I know you're the Batman.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne's been in hiding for 7 years. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm an orphan. I know the face of an orphan. You're the Batman. And just I look at you like, what the frick? Like, and then Bruce Wayne doesn't even try to hide. It's like we've gone through like two movies of him hiding his identity, and some random guy he's never met is saying, and they just go with it. And it's like now he just talks to him and admits that he's Batman. And it's just, And then he's Robin at the end, they say, and it's fine. But no, I'm with you though. The end of the world thing, that is a real thing, and it's not a. Where you also got to think of it in this context. I'm watching the top 100 movies of all time. That movie,
so you're only getting tight scripts.
That movie is, I'm and that Dark Knight Rises. Jess and I agreed, and that was her favorite one going in. And I didn't say this; she said it to me after, and she's like, "I really don't think that should be on the top 100 list." I mean, Jaws isn't on the top 100 list. Like masterpiece movies are not on the top 100 list. And I was just like, this feels like Dark Knight got all the internet going for it, and they voted it really high, and it deserves it. And it was kind of like a redux of that, like, oh, let's get Dark Knight Rises up there.
I think that's what happened with the Avenger movies too. But
I agree. I honestly, I would agree because I love Infinity War. If any of them deserve it, I could see Infinity War being 99. Squeak in because it is a crazy thing they pulled off, and it has that dark ending and all that. But these comic book movies being in the top 100 is a little odd to me. It's Rises, Dark Knight makes sense, Infinity War, and then Endgame, and I think those are the only ones. I don't think Black Panther or anything's on there. But. So those were the movies I watched.
Cool. I think that's it. We have talked everything that we've done this past month.
Wait. One last hot take. The Batman that came out this year, that is better than The Dark Knight Rises. It is a far better movie. It is a far better movie.
Not gonna do it.
And it will age better.
Sorry, Robert.
That movie is so much better than The Dark Knight
Sorry,
Rises.
Robert.
So,
but Batman 2 is coming out. So
Batman 2?
Yeah, they're making a sequel.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool.
Batman 2.
And Joker 2, which I have I don't even know where you go with that.
Ezra Miller might show up as
Yeah,
the
he
Joker.
might. He might.
He's doing it in real life. Well, thank you guys for watching the new and improved podcast of the DweeBros. Check us out on Twitter. DweeBros is the name, and gaming's our game. That's our slogan.
That's our slogan.
Every Thursday, you can check out on Twitter when we're going live, all that stuff. But Thursdays, we do hangouts. Me and Pierce, we stream different games, play multiplayer. The next one that's coming up, I don't know when this is coming up. Actually, you might have already seen it. Multiversus is our next one we're going to be doing. So sometimes we'll play co-op games. Sometimes I'll just be playing a single player and we'll just talk through it. Look up some stuff like with Last of Us. We kind of just looked up stuff about it. Or Kingdom Hearts, we learned what the Keyblade War is. You never know what you're going to get with a hangout. But that is that. Any last words?
No. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. Until next time.